Roswell, New Mexico unfurled before Alex like a bleached canvas, dusted and scored with the palpable remnants of a history that pricked his curiosity and knotted his stomach with a faint unease. The sun was an impassive, blazing sentinel in the sky, bearing silent witness to the raw spectacle of life teetering on the edges of the alien-riddled desert. Dilapidated buildings, relics of a forgotten time, loomed alongside more modern structures, a church spire reaching for the heavens, a solid slash against the otherwise uninterrupted horizon. Upon arrival, Alex introduced himself to the desert town, a slight smile curving his lips, blue eyes gleaming with warmth. His trimmed beard, flecked with premature gray, added a rugged touch to his youthful face. A remnant of Boston clung to his speech, a symphony of softened vowels and clipped consonants. He carried his traumatic past concealed beneath the folds of his affable demeanor, a specter always lurking but never quite surfacing. He met with the townsfolk, intending to ease their apprehensions. His words were dipped in honey, soft and sweet, as he broached the subject of the church, its strange activities, the whispers of fraud. The church, a massive edifice of time-worn stones and shadowy alcoves, was a constant backdrop to these conversations, silent and imposing. Yet its looming presence was met with walls of silence, eyes darting away, lips pressing into thin lines. "I mean no harm," he coaxed over steaming mugs of coffee at the local diner. "Just here to find out what's going on is all." Yet in every wrinkled face, every hesitant gaze, he sensed the murmuring of a hidden truth. The churning unease was interrupted by an encounter with an old woman, gnarled like the roots of an ancient tree, her eyes gleaming with unspoken tales. "They watch," she whispered, her bony hand gripping his. Her words were carried away by the wind, dissipating into the sweltering heat, but they left behind a chill that nestled deep within him. "Who watches?" he asked, a furrow deepening between his brows. She didn't answer, only relinquishing his hand and disappearing into the crowd, leaving him in the throbbing silence of the sunny afternoon. Night fell, and he sat alone in his motel room, the scant furniture casting long, distorted shadows that crawled along the worn-out wallpaper. He brooded over his initial findings, the cryptic words of the old woman, and the town's eerie aura. The church stood, its silhouette visible from his window, an ominous mystery lurking beneath the glistening stars. The veil of darkness seemed to be just the beginning of his descent into the mysteries the town harbored, his story in Roswell having only just begun. The moonlight filtering through his window cast an ethereal glow onto his face, illuminating his features. His eyes were hardened, the kind warmth replaced by a quiet determination. Despite the unnerving hush of the desert night, he found himself fueled, prepared to confront whatever waited in the silent echo of the church and within the shadows of his own soul. As sleep claimed him, there was a sensation of unseen eyes watching him from the corners of his room, the hushed silence giving way to an eerie chorus of whispers just beyond comprehension. His dreams that night were riddled with shadows and echoed with the old woman's cryptic warning. Dawn arrived, bringing with it the promise of a new day. Yet beneath the golden sunlight, the shadows lingered, silently heralding the trials that were to come. As the morning light of Roswell peeled back the layers of night, Alex rose with the new day, the quiet resolve from the night before firm in his gaze. He ventured deeper into the heart of the town, the church's cobblestone walls whispering ancient secrets. He found himself in the presence of Father Ezekiel, a man swathed in mystic charisma, his eyes reflecting a somber understanding of the universe, an eerie reflection of the desert sky itself. Ezekiel was a mosaic of faith and fortitude, with salt and pepper hair framing a stern face, lines of age and wisdom etched deeply into his skin. As he spoke, his voice was reminiscent of desert winds across barren canyons, echoing with a profound serenity that hinted at a concealed power beneath the surface. "Our humble church serves the community, my son." His voice was a low rumble, both comforting and disconcerting, shrouded in the sanctuary's muted stillness. Alex, despite his skepticism, felt a strange pull toward the man, an inexplicable allure that made his spine tingle, an ancient siren song in the depths of his psyche. Their conversation danced around the church's oddities, Ezekiel deflecting every query with cryptic responses and paradoxical allegories. The elusive dance of words became a metaphor for the investigation itself, a slow waltz around the truth. As the sun waned and the town fell once more into the grip of the desert night, a strange phenomena took root. The moon, a pallid face in the night sky, bathed the town in an eerie glow, making shadows elongate, twirling like spectral wraiths. Strange figures lingered at the edge of his vision, humanoid but disturbingly distorted. A chill ran down his spine, an inexplicable dread gnawing at his sanity. His dreams morphed into nightmares of unseeable forces, a chorus of whispers curling around him in a language unknown, yet strangely comprehensible. It was as if the very air around him thrummed with an eldritch energy. Days turned into nights, and nights into days, each more uncanny than the last. The desert town's once silent demeanor morphed into a maddening symphony of unspoken horrors. Even the townsfolk seemed to withdraw further into their shells, their hushed whispers growing quieter, their gazes more apprehensive, as if they were dreading an impending doom. One night, as he was lying in his motel room, the spectral whispers rose to a deafening crescendo. The shadows danced with an unnatural vigor, their grotesque forms growing more solid, more threatening. Fear, raw and visceral, constricted around his heart, forming a bitter taste of the abyss. Yet within that fear, there was also a pull, a morbid curiosity that dared him to venture deeper, to stare into its heart. As dawn broke, he sat on the edge of his bed, the memories of the night echoing within the confines of his mind. The nightmares, the spectral whispers, the shadowy figures all coalesced into a single, chilling revelation. The fraud he was investigating was far more than it seemed, a veil hiding a terrifying reality. The imposing facade of the church now seemed to harbor secrets far graver than mere fraud. And as the realization dawned, the church bell tolled, its somber chime echoing across the desert town, cutting through the morning stillness. It was as if it called to him, an ominous invitation into the heart of the brewing storm. Steeling himself for the trials to come, he stared into the distant horizon, ready to confront the dark revelations that awaited him. The shadows were unfurling, the mysteries deepening, the stage set for a descent into an unfathomable abyss. In the cold light of dawn, Alex found himself at the precipice of the unknown. The tolling of the church bell still resonated in his ears, its echo a haunting dirge in the otherwise serene morning. Driven by a resolve born of fear and fascination, he made his way towards the monolithic structure, the stones whispering the histories of 1,000 yesterdays. The church door creaked open to a cavernous expanse bathed in shadow and mystery. Father Ezekiel awaited him, a silhouette against the dim light filtering through the stained glass windows. Their colors danced on his austere face, painting him in an otherworldly luminescence. The air hung heavy with the taste of old incense and older secrets. "Welcome, my son." His voice was a desert wind carrying a tale of dread and revelation. Their conversation, a slow crescendo of veiled truth and cryptic metaphors, bore the gravity of the approaching storm. Yet beneath the labyrinthine discourse, Alex felt an undercurrent of dread. The antagonists, the church, were not after wealth or influence, but him. The world tilted as he struggled to comprehend Ezekiel's words. "You, Alex, are the beacon. Your pain, your anger, they are what drew us, what drew them." The walls of the church seemed to pulse with an unseen energy, the shadows quivering with anticipation. The realization brought him to his knees, his breath escaping in ragged gasps. His past, his trauma, the latent rage from years of abuse, they were not his burdens alone, but a lighthouse in the darkness for these eldritch entities. His nightmares, the spectral whispers, the shadowy figures, they weren't mere hauntings, but an elaborate lure, a prelude to the monstrous revelation that lay beneath. Stunned, Alex could only watch as Father Ezekiel led him toward the underbelly of the church. The undercroft was a nightmare brought to life, a haunting spectacle of monstrous figures bathed in the sickly glow of 1,000 candles, the air thick with the stench of ancient rituals and forgotten horrors. He felt a raw terror clawing at his insides, an instinctual horror in the face of the unknowable. Yet alongside the terror, there was a grim acceptance, a morbid understanding of his unwitting role in the grand macabre. The revelation reverberated through his being with a crescendo of horror and comprehension. Alex the hunter had been the hunted all along, a pawn in a cosmic game far beyond his understanding. Yet, as the monstrous shadows around him danced and twisted, an insidious thought burrowed its way into his consciousness. If he was a beacon for these horrors, could he not also harness their power? As he stumbled from the church, the first light of dawn staining the sky with shades of betrayal and horror, he couldn't help but glance back. The once imposing structure now stood as a testament to his shattered reality. He was no longer just an investigator unraveling a fraud. He was a beacon, a bridge between dimensions, caught in the cosmic horror's gaze. His world had been irrevocably altered, his perception of reality shattered. But with this shocking truth came an inevitable decision. His next steps would not be determined by his past trauma, but his choice to face the terrifying future. As he walked away, he felt their eyes upon him, their whispers curling around him, a terrible promise of the power he could possess and the despair that would come with it. The sun descended on Roswell, its golden light ebbing away to surrender the land to twilight's somber shroud. The stars pricked the sky, indifferent to the earthly horrors unfolding beneath them. As night unfurled its obsidian cloak, a stark transformation was underway within Alex, the echoes of the dark revelation still ringing in his ears. The motel room, his erstwhile sanctuary, now felt like the vestibule of an otherworldly labyrinth, the quaint decorations metamorphosing into grotesque caricatures. The shadows danced with renewed vigor, their formless figures intertwining in a macabre ballet that mirrored his mental turmoil. His reflection in the bathroom mirror was a stranger's face, etched with lines of fear, eyes hollow from understanding the cosmic horror he'd unwillingly attracted. The weight of his past traumas felt heavier, now bearing a monstrous significance he'd never imagined. Yet beneath this seismic upheaval of emotions, a perverse curiosity beckoned him. The very horrors that had haunted him were now offering an allure he could hardly resist. The rage born of years of psychological abuse and the yearning for vengeance found solace in the prospect of such dark power. The eldritch entities, the cosmic horrors that had hunted him, were now his to command, his to wield. As night deepened, his resolve solidified. The silent town, the spectral church, and the star-studded desert became a backdrop to his imminent descent. He ventured into the crisp night, drawn once more to the grim silhouette of the church, his heart pounding in ominous rhythm. Father Ezekiel awaited his return. His stern face was an impassive mask, his eyes reflecting the desolate beauty of the desert sky, now bearing witness to Alex's impending descent. "Welcome back, Beacon," he intoned, his voice a requiem for the man Alex had once been. There was no pretense of humanity now. The undercroft was alive with horrors unimaginable, the air reverberating with the hymn of the eldritch entities. The stone walls pulsed with an alien energy, the ethereal light casting ghastly shadows that danced with anticipatory glee. The aroma of ancient rituals hung heavy, intermingling with his fear and intrigue. As he stepped into the center of the arcane symbols etched into the stone floor, he felt an overwhelming surge of cosmic energy. His breath hitched, his heart pounding in sync with the rhythm of the universe. He could sense the spectral whispers curling around him, a chorus of ancient languages that twisted his understanding of reality and self. His transformation, a grotesque metamorphosis, was both agonizing and exhilarating. He was no longer the kind-hearted investigator from Boston, but a beacon of the dark power, the bridge between realms. His body contorted in impossible ways. His mind expanded to comprehend the unfathomable. The cosmic horrors he'd feared were now a part of him, their terrifying power coursing through his veins. The transition was a nightmare brought to life, a testament to the horrifying allure of cosmic power. He was caught in the dreadful ecstasy of his descent, his humanity slipping away beneath the eldritch tide. Yet he welcomed it, embracing the terrible power as his own. Roswell dawned anew, the sun rising over the desert town, oblivious to the cataclysmic transformation that had occurred. The church stood silent, its secrets concealed beneath the facade of worship and faith. In the end, Alex didn't just uncover the fraud, he embraced the horrific truth, welcoming the cosmic horrors into himself, trading his humanity for power. In his descent, he found not only the dread of the universe, but a perverse pleasure in wielding such monstrous strength. As the final vestiges of his former self faded, he stood, a triumphant figure against the cruel dawn, the beacon of the cosmic horrors. The shadows danced around him, his spectral courtiers, as he ventured into a reality far removed from the mundane world he'd once known. He was the hunted no more but the hunter, ready to unleash his vengeance upon the world that had tormented him, under the indifferent gaze of the stars. We appreciate you tuning in. If you fancied the content, show your support with a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to keep up with our eerie adventures. Eldritch Tales Factory has plenty more to offer. Until next time.